Yeah, this is the Dollar Sign Billionaire Dollar Sign Entertainment Zone. That's right, this is the Entertainment Zone. Your free ticket to the exclusive info. So, I come about from the 80's, 90's, 2000's, and 2000's, 10's, and now we in the 2020's. So what's the difference between the 80's, the 90's, 2000, 2010's, and the 2000's as now? Maybe if I can remember anything in my opinion to say really is that in the 80's, well, I started out in Manhattan, in the 80's in Manhattan, and yeah, I used to rock some nice clothes. My mother had me in some nice clothes. I had like a McDonald outfit or something. I had a McDonald outfit as a young 5-7-year-old kid. It was nice. It was cool. I mean, people don't rock anything like McDonald outfit today, but it was definitely a McDonald outfit. I always had some Kango, some type of hat. It was I forget. It was like a hat of an animal. It was like the hat of the one with the like it's grayish animal and it has like black over his eye. I had like the hat of such with a tail. Can't remember the name of the animal, but I know what it looks like. It's those that eat your garbage at night. I ain't gonna say they may have be disease or something in such areas, or maybe all areas. It's what you call it? I can't even tell. But in the 80's, yeah, I used to rock some nice stuff. Play with my toy. I used to rock some nice stuff and play with my toys. Yeah, at that time, I didn't know really politically what was going on. I knew there was good music going on. I remember, like the songs was good. Some of the singers I listen today, some of the singers I listen then are not singing as today. But I remember some songs as a kid. I didn't watch too much TV. I did watch TV at times. I played like those old like Nintendo beginning wrestling games, but it was fun. But it was nothing like today. I don't know how the heck I was even playing games such in the past as corny as they were in the 80's, at least of wrestling. But I was playing it. Something to do, I guess. People in the 80's, how they dressed. I think they dressed quite the like that they dress today, like t-shirts. I didn't see people with like black people with like afros or Chinese people with like this or Caucasian people like that. It was kind of like natural as today. Like, yeah, it wasn't in them 80's. There was like no afros and things like that. I used to see nobody in my family or anything I knew of. School then in the 80's was normal as today. You went to school, you did your thing to learn. Kids dressed up, you had bugged out kids and people who just want to make something right in their life. In the 80's, in the 80's, in the 80's, definitely music was different. It's definitely, as I was saying, it was good. I recall hearing a New Edition, like Candy Girl. I remember someone sung that to me. That song was out there then. So I heard like other singers. I may have seen at that time around in the 80's of Madonna when she was a young lady. I saw a poster of her at a train station area, and yeah, I saw her. I liked it, the movie. Actually, I did watch TV at the time around 80's. That was when the movies of that robot, I think it was called It or something. It was like number five. that movie, that movie, yeah, I saw it. Like number 5, that movie was good in the past. They had some good movies in the 1980's. As you see, if you look today in the past of the 80's of Jason, Freddy Krueger, Michael Myers, man, these movies, they can, even though they look better in graphics or anything, they wasn't as bad as the movies of the 80s. I don't think so. Stories were more, it was entertaining. I remember Howard the Duck, man, I seen some movies in the 80s. Definitely good. Howard the Duck, this big duck who was saving the areas and things, and he was helping and shooting up places and saving a girl, and it was fun watching that movie. And when he was getting, and I don't recall watching it in the 80s. RoboCop, I think they came in the 90s. But yeah, it was fun. Life outside in the 80s, just normal houses. I ain't seen nothing different. I was a kid, but as I looked around, I ain't seen nothing different. Nothing I could say on. At least I never watched the news and never saw the news or anything really was going on at that time. So I couldn't really say. If I watched the news, I probably would have made more sense of things. Yeah. But school, everything was normal. Music was good. Rap was good then. People in R&B was good, man. Stuff I was listening as a kid, knew that stuff was good. I was 6 or 5 and knew it was good music. It was good. You couldn't deny it as a young kid unless you just didn't have no taste in anything. Yeah. So life was okay in the 80s. I don't see that much different than in today. Maybe haircuts, styles that wasn't there, some clothes things that wasn't there, but it wasn't much of a deal. I know Boyz II Men around there. That time was around that time. Yeah. So then we go to the 90s. 90s was I was older, and yeah, I was probably 10, 11, 12 in the 90s, 13, 14, 15, going into my 20s. By the time 2000 came and things. 90, that was when Tupac was around, watching Juice. That was a good movie. Man, I watched that like at least like 5, 7 times of Juice, the movie of Tupac. Poetic Justice. Movies was just definitely getting better in hood-like movies and things I was seeing. More of a story, maybe more of a better content of a story to tell, maybe in some sense. Games are coming better. We had PlayStation 2. Oh no, PlayStation 1 I think came out in 2000, but down that time it was Nintendo 64, Super Nintendo, and those were good games. They had some pretty fair games. Games were getting a little better. I remember in Nintendo watching DuckTales, the other game, Scrooge in it, and getting his gold coins and beating the game or whatever. I played a lot of times also in that time in the 90s. Super Mario Brothers and Mario Brothers, I'm sure many have had, and Mortal Kombat 1 and 2 and all of that. That was good entertainment. Get over here, and I do kick, and Street Fighter. It was definitely good games then to play then. Things were just getting a little better from the 80s and 90s in graphics and games. TV, I watched Martin. That was funny as heck. He was a funny show to watch with Gina. Got a little dull like as the years gone by, but it was not bad of a thing. I watched a lot of good stuff. I watched New York Undercover. That was good. I watched that about to the end. How they would solve crime. How they would solve crimes and stuff. And I also watched the X-Files. Watched wrestling. The Raw and all of that. I didn't watch wrestling really in the 90s. I didn't have too well cable. It was the 2000 when it came to Channel 9, or what they used to call UPN 9. Now they call it, I think, My 9 or something. Yeah, I used to watch wrestling when it came to 2000. But then I heard of wrestling. I had wrestling games and all type of stuff, but I never watched really wrestling. I've heard people speaking about it and like, oh, this and that, whatever. I was a person definitely who watched wrestling and loved wrestling. Yes, I watched wrestling later and knew of things of it. School then in the 90s, kids was, they stuck to who they wanted to speak to. As today, everybody stuck to their crowd who they wanted to speak to. You know, they listen to a lot of times of Lost Boys, Wu-Tang Clan, Onyx, Master P, No Limit Soldiers. Juvenile, I think, became late in the 2000s. Tupac Shakur, California. I used to listen to Tupac a lot. Definitely in his music. Brenda's Got Her Baby All. I was definitely a fan of Tupac then. B.I.G. too. I was a fan of his. Juice, all that when he was alive and listening to that. Listen to a lot of music. I watched Michael Jackson. Remember the Time, all of that. I watched all of that. I never watched if it was in the 80s Thriller. If it was in the 80s, I never known of Michael Jackson until the 90s as I got older. I didn't hear everyone, but I yeah. 1990s, yeah. Students in school were, stick to themselves. Got the crazy ones, the okay ones, I guess. I say I was a cool person, definitely in school. I didn't deal with too many people, but I dealt with people. Watch who I dealt with, and if I dealt with the wrong person, I just wasn't gonna deal with it if they was in trouble. I'm not gonna go for that. Somebody gonna lead me in the wrong path. No one necessarily needs to be led in the wrong path. Use their brain, obvious. I'm not gonna let TV ain't gotta tell me all the time. If somebody tell you to smoke, don't do it. Don't follow with your friends. That's just if you gonna smoke, obviously you was about that life and probably in the get go like, oh, I got an opportunity to smoke. I'm like, you're not leaving me in none of that. People never really tested me anyway, so some things, but I got away from all that. I ain't being no stupid one for somebody I barely even know it for any reason. But school was just no different in the 90s. Teachers were some were pain in the neck, some taught. I never felt like there was too well of teachers I could learn from. But I learned from here and there. My gym teachers I thought were alright. They saw the good in me and my sport ability. I played football, basketball. I was pretty well football, basketball, baseball. I pretty did good well in all sports. Just a jock-like person. The ladies then, they didn't really wear shorts up to behind. They wasn't really like whorish of anything. They pretty just dressed normal, nothing over the top. Maybe nobody really to me and wherever I was and things I've seen really was dressing like fly like Air Force One like what they got. I think ladies some dress up, but not as then in the 90s. I didn't see too many going all. I had my thing going. I was a fly guy about things, but I didn't really see too many others. Not really. Not my belief. No. Sports was real. I was definitely into sports. Watching of basketball, Michael Jordan. He was definitely good. Heard of him. I watched NBA Finals a lot. The NBA, the NFL playoffs. Yeah, knew about David Robinson and all this and hearing things. Yeah, life was something else in the 90s. And then as the 90s was going, you had the Twin Towers falling, and that was like the change of that ever happened. And but then learning that something like that quite happened in the past of some other area in the building, New York. So for that to happen and things, yeah, something. 2000, life was just, to me, I think in the 2000 as it came, life was changing. Jobs were getting higher in pay. People were changing up in the music style, how they presented themselves. People wasn't like Wu-Tang Clan or like Shane Moon and New. No, it was kind of like people trying to be in rap classier. I think like Kanye West and such was bringing more classier, something was to me in the thoughts of 2000 was things were changing. When it came to music for R&B singers and rappers, how they presented their music. 2000, not much changed from 90s to 2000. I think there's maybe possible a child would change. I think such things would go on, like haircuts or the way things, I think the way things was I think they were trying to change, for maybe the year. The projects and things, people were fixing up in areas where I once lived and things. Things were slight of change. I got my own crib now, my own place. I don't know Probably anything like that. Not no. Um, not 2000s. Too well 2000s. I was turning 21. Try to get a job here and there. Jobs wasn't as many. At least not what I would find. People, I would just go on in life. Working, going to college, trying to make something for myself. Um, College, whatever. Met some ladies here and there. Then in college, things, all that. Trying to make something up for my life where I want things to go. Um, the NBA, I think things were changing in TV. PlayStation 1 came out too. PlayStation 1 graphics wasn't good, but when PlayStation 2 came out, then that's when things were really hitting. PlayStation 1 was like almost sometime like if it was hitting all the way back to like Nintendo. Like you had Nintendo 64 and you go to PlayStation 1, you like PlayStation 1 was like garbage. Nintendo 64 was doing this thing. Then you had Xbox coming out, Sega Genesis. No, not Xbox, like Sega Genesis, and then eventually sometime Xbox came. Sega Genesis has some good graphics though. I think better than PlayStation 1, but not PlayStation 2. Maybe not so. No, Sega Genesis is not out today. It was definitely kicking. Sonic the Hedgehog. It definitely has some good games. WCW games is doing somewhat well, and then they got better eventually over time. WCW then used to watch Monday Night Show in the 1990s. It was good. Wrestling was doing some well in the night. I used to watch actually WCW because it's like it was free or something in the 90s, but I couldn't watch wrestling WWE because it wasn't on where I could. But I definitely watched WCW. Goldberg, Kevin Nash, Sting, Hulk Hogan, Mr. Perfect, the Cat. I mean, so many wrestlers then. And then to take all that away. I think what really led WCW down to the fall was because they kept doing that thing, New World Order thing, the NWO, and then everybody just kept grouping each other and people grouping up in here, right? And it just got so crazy, and they just looked like they didn't know what the heck they were doing, and then taking things and just like stupid after stupid, and then just like, hey, forget about this. This is like so stupid. We don't know where to bring this stupid mess to the next level. Fixing it because it just was going nowhere. But WCW, when it was doing this thing, it was good. What else? Yes, that was 2000. Not much to say. I mean, I think Barack Obama came around sometime late in the 2010 or something. It was like Bill Clinton and George Bush going to war on lies, or maybe possibly, I don't know. Yeah, it was something else. I was living in areas. People was crazy things were happening around the areas. Met some ladies, been places. Had a job, normal stuff. 2010's, quite like the 2000s. Just trying to make something, go to college, all of that. 2010's, I think Barack Obama came around trying to change things. I don't think he really changed much. He was a good, positive person, I think, but he didn't really change much of my idea. I don't think he was the one for it to make it where things wanted to really be taken. Not much really. 2010, I remember. I went to school, met some ladies here and there, try to make things all that. Traveled a lot. Kept up with people I was cool with. Family stayed around, had fun. People passed on. Life went on for others. Keeping it all positive as can. Then we got the 2020's, and that's like we got the MacBook. We got the MacBook. We got the iPad. I mean, so many technology things in the past. You got the iPhone. You got internet and things like so better. Cars are so better, upgraded. Things of opportunities. You didn't have Wi-Fi in the past, or people use beepers in the 90s to let people know that they want them to call them or get in touch. That's things. People got smartphones these days. The technology has definitely helped people in a lot of ways. Money opportunities, I think, are great. We had the COVID-19. It's still going on. Now it's the monkeypox and all the other things that are going on. We know, and so many have passed on because of the COVID-19. Trying to make the future and get away from what we had and to move on for the things. What the future holds. It's 2020's up into 2030. Who knows what the future holds? Marriage, children, love and life, the coming of Jesus Christ in the clouds, the resurrection of things. Right mind of saying this. Billionaires, millionaires, new basketball players, NFL players, technology of things we probably have never seen, seeing of the future and time travel and all these things, the world of chaos. Who knows what the future holds and how it's all going to go, but as a person expecting for the best, greater things for oneself, I know. So thanks for tuning in. Can't be too long. Please like, subscribe, and comment for positive views. Negative, try not to as possible. Ask if any questions you like about the 90s, the 80s, maybe even the 80s, the 90s, 2000s, 2010's, and now. If you'd like to ask some questions that may have happened because you never lived those times, what was about Tupac, maybe I knew of, a B.I.G. or this or that, maybe something I've watched and people and things. So have a good one, and like, subscribe, and comment positive views. This is $billionaire entertainment zone. This is the entertainment zone. Subscribe for more content on the way each and every month. Enjoy yourself. Today I am bringing as much as I can, and let's keep this channel going. I'm trying to bring something that others ain't ever bringing to keep you into this. Ask me something maybe in a video you would like me to do. Let's see what's going on. Let's make this happen. I'm an OG, and I'm gonna keep it cool as ever it could be. And that's peace and soul. It's Akeem saying peace.